Did you know there was almost a Black Widow movie 20 years ago? That's right, the Black Widow almost came to life long before Marvel Studios, and filmmaker David Hayter has talked a little bit about the project and a needle drop moment that recently was used in Iron Claw. Let's break it down. Now before we do that though, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring that bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC videos, and we want to be your place for all the Marvel news, but we're going to bring it to you truthfully and transparently, so you are really in the know. Many people don't realize it, but Marvel actually spent several years trying to get a Black Widow movie off the ground. Now, this was way before the MCU back in 2004, and at that time, filmmaker David Hayter penned a screenplay for a solo project that would focus on Natasha Romanoff. Now, in case you didn't know it, Hayter is the voice of Solid Snake in Metal Gear Solid and is known for writing several other movies that were received pretty good, including X-Men, X2, and Watchmen, and even stepped behind the cameras to direct the film Wolves in 2014. Now, sadly, this movie never got made because it was being developed at the time when Elektra and Catwoman were released, and if you remember, those movies absolutely bombed and left most Hollywood executives convinced for the time being, female superhero-led adaptations simply wouldn't make money. Obviously, Wonder Woman proved that wrong in 2017, but we came pretty close to seeing the film so many years ago. Now recently, Hayter responded to a tweet referencing the song Tom Sawyer in the upcoming movie Iron Claw, and made it pretty clear he basically planned the same moment with the same song in his film, which kind of gives you an idea of the flavor that movie would have had. Now, we don't know many things about the movie, but back in 2011, Hayter did talk a little bit about what he had planned for the Black Widow and the painful truth of why it didn't happen. He actually said, "What I tried to do was use the backdrop of the splintered Soviet Empire, a lawless, insane asylum with 400 some odd nuclear missile silos. It was all about loose nukes, and I felt it was very timely and very cool. Unfortunately, as I was coming up on the final draft, a number of female vigilante movies came out. We had Tomb Raider and Kill Bill, which were the ones that worked, but then we had Blood Rain, Ultraviolet, and Aeon Flux. Aeon Flux didn't open well, and 3 days after it opened, the studio said, 'We don't think it's time to do this movie.' I accepted their logic in terms of saturation of the marketplace, but it was pretty painful. I had not only invested a lot of time in that movie, but I'd also named my daughter, who was born in that time period, Natasha, after the lead character in Black Widow. I named my daughter after a movie I wasn't working on anymore." Well, first and foremost, hats off to the level of fandom that this guy has. Naming his daughter Natasha was a big move. Sadly, I understand the era, and remember when all these movies came out, there was a lot of talk about how poor they did at the box office, and I understand why the studio had some hesitation at that point. It really would have been curious to see Natasha Romanoff come to life in the days before the MCU, and it would make you wonder, if that movie had done well, would Natasha have gotten her own solo project much earlier in the MCU timeline? I think that's the big question. Now, Marvel fans are still wondering if Natasha Romanoff is going to come back for Secret Wars, but for now, I think we're going to see a lot of Yelena Belova in the Thunderbolts, maybe even in Captain America 4, and definitely Secret Wars.